Hello. We are currently discussing exception handling in C# programming language. In our previous video, we have already covered what are the different types of errors, compile time errors and runtime errors. These are some of the examples of runtime errors we discussed in the previous video. We have seen what is an exception. A problem or an error that arises during the execution of a program is called as exception. An exception can also be called as a response to an exceptional circumstance that arises when a program is executing or running. An example is attempt to divide by 0. We have also seen exception handling gives you a structured solution using the try and catch block. And if you want to handle a runtime error in your program, you should find the kind of error that may happen in your program. Then inform the program that an error has occurred. Then receive the error information in a part of your program. Then take the corrective actions. So for doing all these things, we are going to use the keywords such as try, catch, finally and throw. In the previous video, we discussed what is a try block, what is a catch block, what is finally and what is the purpose of throw keyword. These are some of the common C# exceptions that are predefined in the .NET Framework class library. We have also seen what is the syntax for exception handling. The syntax we discussed yesterday, and we have seen a demo program that includes try and catch block for divide by 0 exception. It also includes finally block. We have seen how this program gets executed without exception handling in the div method, with exception handling in the divide method. Now, after seeing the example program, you might have observed in a try block, if there is an error, in a try block, if there is an error, the rest of the try block statements will be ignored and the catch block statements will be executed. When you have catch block, it searches for a matching exception and the corresponding catch block will be executed. After executing the catch block, it goes to the finally block. Whereas if there is no error in the try block, the catch blocks will be ignored but the finally block will be executed. So this is what we have seen in this demo program. What happens when there is an exception? What happens when there is no exception? So it clearly says that inside the try block, if there is an error, the rest of the statements in the try block will be ignored and the matching catch block will be executed. After executing the catch block, it goes to the finally block. Whereas in the try block, if there is no error, the catch blocks will be ignored but the finally block will be executed. Then it goes to the next statement. So this is how the execution flow of try, catch and finally blocks can be defined. So this can be called as the execution flow or the flow of control in the try, catch and finally blocks. Now, in your exception handling, apart from having only one catch block, you can have multiple catch blocks also. When you handle exceptions in a program may raise more than one runtime error. If so, you can write multiple catch blocks to handle the each to handle each and every exceptions that may be raised in a particular block, for which you can have multiple catch blocks. Let me go to the example. So this is the demo program. Here I have a main function. Inside the main function I have a try block. Then I am going to have three catch blocks. Observe here, in the program I am having just a total variable declared with value 0, and I am having all the command line arguments. ARGS is used for command line arguments. All the arguments I am converting to integer and I am totaling them. So this loop is used for finding the sum of all the command line arguments. Now inside this particular block of code, C# code, the possible errors are: you may have index out of range exception. Why? If the command line arguments are not entered, then you may be having index out of range exception. And when you try to convert a character, say for example an alphabet ABC into integer that may not be converted, then you may be getting a format exception. Or it may have some other exceptions also which are not matching with format exception and index out of range exceptions also. That can be called as an unknown error. So the three possible exceptions that may be raised in the try block: one is format exception, when you try to convert an alphabet into integer. Another possible exception is index out of range exception, which is if you have not entered command line arguments, then this loop cannot be executed. So these are the two possible exceptions which are known exceptions. Apart from these exceptions, if any other exception is raised in this particular block, you can commonly capture it in the exception called as exception, which is the base class for all the kind of exceptions. So any object created for a derived class can be matched to the base class. So obviously any kind of exception is raised here that will be matching here. So these are the three possible exceptions available. So what happens now? Inside the try block, if there is any kind of exception raised, the system will try to match the exception first here in the first catch block. If the exception is matching with format exception, this catch block will be executed. If not, it goes to the next catch block and it will check whether the exception is index out of range exception. If so, the statement will be executed. If it is not matching with this exception, it goes back to this exception, which will be matching with any kind of exception. So let us see how this program is getting executed. Let me increase the size of the terminal. I open the program. Okay, so this is the program we are discussing. More than one catch blocks in a single program. I am going to execute it. Let me compile it first. No errors. Now you try executing the program. Yes, it says you entered 0 arguments and their sum is 0. Now let us see where this statement is. Yeah, so my program has no exception. It is simply saying it executes the statement, no exception. Here also no exception. So it goes to the statement, and this statement gives you there is no argument entered, command line arguments are not entered. So it says you have entered 0 arguments, length of the arguments is 0 and their sum is not found. So it says sum is equal to 0 also. So when I execute this program like this, it says, and let me say I am going to enter 3 arguments. So it says you have entered 3 arguments and their sum is 1 plus 2 plus 3, which is equal to 6. Now when I enter this program, instead of giving 1, 2, 3, let me say I am giving a character like this. And you can see here it shows you an error saying can't convert to integer, because these are the characters which cannot be converted to integer. Let us see where this statement is being displayed. Yeah. So this is where we have can't convert to integer. So what is the exception? So some exception is raised here. That is the format exception, because when the arguments are converted to integer, the command line arguments which I have entered are A, B, C, which cannot be converted to integer. So that is a runtime error. So this runtime error is caught in the format exception, this runtime error. So when it executes the statement, args of 0 is A, which I have entered as the command line argument. This is the command line argument. I will show you again. This is the command line argument. A is args of 0. This is args of 1. This is args of 2. So when inside the for loop, for I is equal to 0, it will take args of 0, which is A now, and that will try to convert it to integer, which is not possible. This conversion is not possible. So automatically it raises a runtime error, which is the format exception. So this goes to this catch block and the error is matching with format exception, and it displays console.writeLine cannot convert to integer. Okay. Now let us see whether I can get this particular exception, index out of range exception. So what I am going to do, I am going to copy this statement. I copy this statement and I am going to paste it here. I am going to paste it here. So let me take this. Okay. Now what I am going to do, let me say I want to display the value of args of 5. Let us assume 5. Okay. Argument 5. So that means args of 5 will get a value only if you enter 6 different values in the command line arguments. Is it not? Because this is args of 0, args of 1, args of 2. So only if you enter 6 different values you will get args of 5. Let us try this program again. I am going to enter 1, 2, 3, 4. I have entered only 4 values. I press the enter key. You have entered 4 arguments and their sum is 10. Okay. Yeah, I did not compile the program. Let me go for compiling it. I compile it and I am going to execute it now. So you can see here, these 4 values are taken and it has found the sum of these 4 arguments. But when I try to display the 5th argument, this one, argument 5 is not entered by the user. So 5 is out of range index. So it goes to this exception and it says command line argument is not entered. So this is what you call as the second type of catch block. So what happens first, it tries to match with this exception. This error is not format exception. It goes to the next catch block. Now it finds the index out of range exception and this particular statement gets executed. Now suppose, say for example, in this program, let me comment this line. I comment this line and I am going to have this statement. Yeah, what is the statement? I have a value with 100, b value 0 and I try to divide a by b. b is actually 0. So it will give you divide by 0 exception. Now if you see the catch blocks, I have not specified a catch block with divide by 0 exception. So when this error occurs, it goes to this catch block. It is not divide by 0 exception. Then it goes to this catch block. It is not divide by 0 exception. When it goes to this exception, any exception will be matching with this exception. So it will say it is unknown error. So let us try how it gets executed. I compile the program and I am going to execute the program. You can see here it finds a sum of these 4 arguments. After that it says unknown error. Why it says unknown error? Because this particular exception divide by 0 is not mentioned. Suppose, say for example, I am going to have divide by 0. Let me call this as divide by 0. Divide by 0 exception. Divide by 0 exception. Let me say cannot divide by 0. Delete it. Now let us run this program. Compile the program. After compiling, let me run this program. Yeah, I am running it. Now it is not showing you unknown error. Earlier it was showing you unknown error. But now it goes to which catch block? It goes to the third catch block, divide by 0 exception, and it is displaying this particular message. Now the same program, I am going to modify it little bit. I am going to have this here. Okay. Let me remove this divide by 0 exception. Yeah. Now what happened? I have given a catch block for format exception, index out of range exception. Then I gave exception. Only then I am giving divide by 0 exception. Let us run this program now. I have just changed the order of catch blocks. I compile the program. Yeah, and now it says a previous catch clause already catches all exceptions of this or a super type system dot exception. So even if you specify divide by 0 at the end, it says divide by 0 is already a derived class of exception. So this becomes the base class. So any exception that comes here will be matching with this exception and it will not go to this particular catch block. So automatically the system says that a previous catch block where before the divide by 0 I have system dot exception. So this itself will be catching divide by 0 and it will not go to this particular block. That is the error it will be showing you. That is why in our program, when you are going to have one very important point that you have to remember, let us just see that order. Yeah, so this is one very important point that we have to remember. When you have multiple catch blocks, the exception hierarchy matters. You have to put those exceptions in the right order. That is, handler for most derived exception class should be mentioned first, and we can also have a general catch handler. So if you have general catch handler like this without any parameter, that must be specified at the end of all the catch blocks. In the same way, if you are going to give base class exception as the parameter, that should also be specified at the end of all the catch blocks. This is very important. This particular point you have to remember whenever you are going to use multiple catch blocks. Okay, we will continue with the exception handling discussion in the next video. Thank you.